Hello, sports fans. Welcome to Super Sports Central. Today, we're going to be going over my Week 9 NFL Power Rank. So we'll start off by briefly recapping my rankings from last week and what those teams did in Week 8. Last week at number 10, I had the Patriots. They destroyed the Browns 32-13. Ninth, I had the Eagles. They beat the Giants 38-20. Eighth, I had the Bills. They dominated the Panthers 40-9. 7 was the Rams. They were on a bye. 6, I had the Packers. They beat the Steelers 35-25. Fifth was the Seahawks. They were on a bye. Fourth was the Buccaneers. They easily beat the Saints 23-3. Third was the Colts. They crushed the Titans 38-14. Second was the Lions, another team on a bye. And number 1, I had the Chiefs, and they dominated the Commanders 28-7. But getting into this week's rankings, beating things at number 10, I've got the Patriots. So the Patriots remained here at number 10 after they had another good performance as they dominated the Browns 32-13. And this is another great game for the Patriots, especially offensively. And they've now scored 30 points in back-to-back games, and it's the first time their offense hit 30 in back-to-back games since Week 2 and Week 3 of the 2020 season, so it's been a while. But the offense, they were great. Drake made another great game, throwing for 282 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception. And the Patriots also finally got TreVeyon Henderson involved in the offense, and he was very effective with 75 rushing yards on just 10 carries. And the Patriots as a team, they ran the ball very effectively with 177 yards on 5.1 yards per carry. Then defensively for the Patriots, they were also great. They allowed just 13 points and also got 2 turnovers. But this was another good performance for the Patriots. Their winning streak is now up to 5 games, and I've got the Patriots at number 10. Number 9, I have the Eagles. So the Eagles remained here at number 9 after they beat the Giants by a score of 38-20. And this was a solid performance for the Eagles, although they were helped out quite a bit by the refs. And I'm not usually the type of person to complain about the refs and blame them for a loss, but this was probably the most poorly officiated game I've ever watched, because the refs, they caused at least a 14-point swing in this game, with the missed fumble on the Jalen Hurts tush push, which led to an Eagle touchdown, and the Giants, they also had a long touchdown taken off the board because of an offensive pass interference, when, if there was interference at all, it was defensive. Now, as a Giants fan, I'm obviously not trying to make excuses. The Eagles were the better team, and they won, but I'm just saying, the Eagles didn't play as well as the final score may look, but they still had a pretty solid game. The Eagles offense, they ended up putting up 38 points, and they finally got the run game going, as Saquon Barkley ran for 150 yards and a touchdown, and the Eagles as a team ran for 276 yards on 8.4 yards per carry. And the pass game was also pretty solid for the Eagles as Jalen Hurts threw 4 touchdowns. And then defensively, the Eagles, they were solid, allowing 20 points and 4.9 yards per play, plus they got 5 sacks. But a good game for the Eagles, not great because they definitely weren't amazing, but they were still pretty solid, but I've got the Eagles remaining here at number 9. 8th, I have the Bills. The Bills, they check in at number 8 after they destroyed the Panthers 40-9. And this was a great win for the Bills because they had lost 2 straight before this game, but they bounced back in a big way, winning by 31 points. The offense was great for the Bills, putting up 40 points. Josh Allen had a good game with 3 total touchdowns, and the Bills, they were also insane on the ground. And they were led by James Cook, who ran for 216 yards and 2 scores, and the Bills as a team ran for 245 yards and 4 scores on 7 yards per carry. Then defensively, the Bills, they also played really well. Now, they were playing against Andy Dalton, but they still played pretty well. They allowed just 9 points, 244 total yards, also getting 7 sacks and forcing 3 turnovers. But this was a nice dominant bounce-back win for the Bills, and after a big win over the Panthers, I've got them at number 8. 7th, I have the Rams. The Rams, they've remained here at number 7. They're on a bye this week. They're currently sitting at 5-2. Next week, they face the Saints. Number 6, I have the Packers. The Packers, they enter at number 6 after they beat the Steelers 35-25. And this was a pretty good performance for the Packers. They didn't have their best game in the first half, as they were actually down 16-7 at the half, but they were dominant in the second half, outscoring the Steelers 28-9. The offense for the Packers, they were great with 35 points, and Jordan Love had a great game, throwing for 360 yards and 3 touchdowns. And at one point in the game, he'd completed 20 straight passes. And then tight end Tucker Kraft, he also had a huge game with 7 catches for 143 yards and 2 scores. And then the defense for the Packers, they did allow 25 points, but overall they played fairly well. They forced the Steelers to settle for a lot of field goals, most of them long field goals. They also forced a turnover and got 3 sacks. But a good win for the Packers as they beat the Steelers and they check in at number 6. 5th, I have the Seahawks. So Seahawks, they've remained at number 5. They're on a bye this week. They're currently tied with the Rams at 5-2 in first place in the NFC West. Next week, they face the Commanders. Number 4, I have the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers, they enter at number 4 after they beat the Saints pretty easily 23-3. On the offensive side of the ball for the Buccaneers, they were okay, but didn't really put up too impressive numbers, as they averaged just 3.8 yards per play, and they had just 212 total yards, although they were still able to put up some points. But the defense for the Buccaneers is where they've really dominated. They allowed just 3 points, forced 4 turnovers, returning one of them for a touchdown, and the defense also got 5 sacks. But while the offense didn't put up insanely impressive numbers, this is still a good win for the Buccaneers, and it's a nice bounce-back win after their loss to the Lions last week, and I've got the Buccaneers at number 4. Third, I have the Lions. So the Lions are at number 3. They're another team on a bye this week, and next week they face the Vikings. Second, I have the Colts. So the Colts, they move up a spot to number 2 after they destroyed the Titans 38-14. And this is another great performance for the Colts, and they just continue to play extremely well. The offense was great once again, putting up 38 points, and they were really effective through the air and on the ground. Daniel Jones threw for 272 yards and 3 touchdowns, and Jonathan Taylor continued to play extremely well, as he ran for 153 yards and 2 scores on just 12 carries. And he also caught 2 passes for 21 yards and got in the end zone again. And then the defense for the Colts, they were also great, allowing just 14 points, forcing turnover, and getting 4 sacks. But this is another dominant performance for the Colts. They continue to impress every single week. And I can definitely understand if you want to have the Colts at number 1, and I definitely thought about that, but I've got the Colts at number 2 for now. And coming in at number 1, I've got the Chiefs. So the Chiefs, they've remained here at number 1. I thought of moving the Colts up to number 1, but there's just no reason to drop the Chiefs, especially when they beat the Commanders by 21, as they won 28-7. But this was another good performance for the Chiefs. They didn't play their best game in the first half, with the game being tied 7-7 at the half, but they outscored the Commanders 21-0 the rest of the way. Patrick Mahomes had another good game with 299 yards and 3 touchdowns, although he did throw 2 interceptions. And the Chiefs, they also ran the football effectively with 148 yards and a touchdown on 5 yards per carry. And Travis Kelce and Rashee Rice both had good games with over 90 receiving yards and found the end zone. And then defensively for the Chiefs, they were dominant. They allowed just 7 points, 0 in the second half, and they also forced 2 turnovers. But this is another good win for the Chiefs. They've now won 3 games in a row and 5 of their last 6, and they've got the Chiefs at number 1. But those were my Week 9 NFL Power Rankings. Thank you guys for watching. Be sure to like this video, subscribe, turn notifications. I do my best to post as often as possible, and I will see you in the next video.